Hello my friends, and welcome back to another Brotato Nightmare Mode run. Hope you're all doing well. Today we're playing the Wounded, because there's a run that I wanted to do on the Wounded, and also because there's something that has been bothering me, which is that when you choose a character from a random map, it shows the lowest difficulty that you've beaten that character on between the two maps. Since I haven't played the Wounded on the Abyss ever since the beta ended, it shows as not having been completed in my selection screen, and that's been bugging me, so we're going to go ahead and fix that. Now, there's, I think, actually more viable ways to play this character than you might think at first. The easiest and most natural way is, of course, just to build a mixture of guns, but one that I haven't done yet, and that I do want to, is using the Wounded's unlockable weapon to the Railgun to do as much damage as possible with dodge. Now, I don't think that the Railgun is a perfect weapon for this character. In fact, I think it's somewhat weak as guns go, though still pretty reasonable, just because it's low range and slow attack speed, and those are the two stats that the Wounded actually cares about. Dodge on this character is a nice luxury, but not particularly impactful. You get less chances to use it than you do on other characters, but this does give us a good excuse to buy dodge, which is still okay. I'm going to go ahead and roll here, and I'm looking for dodge, or attack speed. I might take the 5 harvesting. I guess I will. And the reason we're buying dodge, of course, is that the Railgun scales with dodge, so by buying it, we're going to increase our weapon damage. I'm going to ban Terrified Onion. I'll leave Propeller Hat in the pool, but I'm really looking for more either really strong economy items like the coupon, or attack speed. Now, Railgun does have inherent piercing, so we probably don't want Sharp Bullet. We may add more piercing later if we get a bandana, or if we get an eye patch, but Sharp Bullet reducing our piercing damage is too dangerous, so we're going to avoid that. We'll buy the Railgun here, ban a defective steroids, roll again, lock another Railgun, and ban Snake, and go to the next wave. Now, the nice thing about Railgun, of course, is that it gains damage as long as you don't take damage, and that means it's permanently going to gain damage during this run, because if we ever take damage, we die. Tardigrade, dodging, both of those now work properly and will prevent the Railgun from losing its bonus. Here, okay, well, 6 dodge, that's tremendous, because 6 dodge on this is like getting slightly better than a level 2 range damage upgrade as we level our Railguns. And then I'm going to roll here, and I'm actually going to take 30 range. Range is pretty important on the Wounded, because you need to kill enemies that are far away, and it's really important on the Railgun, because it starts with very low base range, and you need to not get hit when you're using this weapon. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy the Railgun, lock the level 2 Railgun, lock the Peaceful Bee, and then I am going to do a reroll, because we could still roll a level 1 Railgun here. I could buy one of these weapons, but I'd rather spend some money trying to roll another Railgun, and we did. And then for 3, it is actually worth rerolling. We got really lucky there to roll 2 in a row. That was pretty unlikely, but obviously we'll take it. Because both a level 2 and a level 1 version of a weapon can exist at the same time in the shop, if you're lucky enough to roll a level 2 version of the weapon that you're looking for on wave 2, when you're guaranteed to see 2 weapons every reroll, you should usually lock the level 2, buy any level 1s that you see, and then keep rolling, because you might find more level 1s. Here, I'm going to just take 8% damage. Again, we need as much damage as we can get. I'm really looking for attack speed, but damage is very important. Also, Peaceful Bee is damage positive on this character, or on this weapon, because, yes, you lose a ranged damage, so you lose 0.8 damage, but you gain 1.3 damage from buying 4 dodge, and you get the value of the dodge and the harvesting. Can I buy the coupon before the Railguns? So that would be 76 plus 17, so I can. Can I buy the Peaceful Bee in addition to the Railguns? Because if I can buy both Railguns and the Peaceful Bee, the Bee is actually a little better than the coupon, because the coupon will save me a little less money overall, and the Bee will save me about 4 materials, but the B will give us those 4 materials and also increase our damage, but I don't believe I can. So we're going to buy these items, and then I'll roll, and then we'll go ahead and ban these. You don't need to buy flat ranged damage on this weapon, you just want to buy dodge instead. Also, I'm banning level 1 items because I really want to get coffee and gummy berserker. Those are 2 of the most important items for this weapon. The other option on the Wounded is to ban level 3 items and look for additional tardigrades. This character is more likely to find tardigrade, so you can get multiple tardigrades by doing that. But I think it's more important just to make sure that your early game is smooth, and we don't actually need a second tardigrade, though it is nice to have. I'll take the attack speed here, I'll take 6% dodge, I'll buy a Peaceful Bee, I'll buy Loot Worm and Whistle. Loot Worm is very helpful for the Wounded, because picking up materials can be a real problem. And then we'll lock all of these items and go straight to the next wave. Guess I'm kind of stealing some materials from our Loot Worm and costing myself a couple potential 10% chances at doubling them. You usually shouldn't care about that. It's more important just to play the wave normally and not worry about what the Loot Worm is doing, and make sure that you're actually not leaving materials on the ground in an attempt to get the Loot Worm to grab them. But in a spot like that where it's completely free to let the Loot Worm pick them up, I should have just let it do its job. But again, it's more important to conserve mental energy than to perfectly optimize the Loot Worm pickups. I'm going to take the Insanity here. So Railgun has low crit damage by default, but increases the crit damage as you level it. So we'll take Insanity, and then I'll take 8% more damage, and we'll buy a Railgun level, and buy some economy items. Feather, of course, gives dodge, so it increases our damage both from the range damage and from the dodge, so great find there. And we'll lock another Insanity. And go to the next wave here. So I'm looking for attack speed. I'm looking for a big range level up. If I see like a 45 range level up, we'll take it. And obviously I'm looking for dodge in order to scale the weapon damage on railguns. I will say that so far this run has been slightly more challenging. I mean, we've gotten fairly lucky, and this run has been slightly more challenging than just going with a standard gun build, because our range is lower and our weapon damage is slightly higher, but not higher enough to make the dodging easier. If I was just using submachine guns, this run would be smoother. We'll take 6% dodge here, and then I guess I'll take the higher level up. Gummy Berserker is a great find and means that I probably don't need to spend a level on range if I get like 1 or 2 more range upgrades just from items. And of course, while normally this item is unplayable, it's totally fine on this character where -1 armor is not a real penalty. We'll lock this Spyglass, and then I'm going to roll a couple times looking for more damage. I'm going to lock the book here as well. We can buy these 3 items and then get a free reroll by banning the book. Staying in the center here where the projectiles are not going to cross over where I am. Letting the Loot Worm get some material pickups, but I do need to make sure I'm getting at least some. I do have some dodge for a little bit of insurance, but of course on a character that can only get hit twice, you really don't want to rely on dodge, even once you get it maxed out. Here, I'm going to roll. I'm looking for attack speed or dodge, and we'll take 15% attack speed. And then we will buy these items. And the Baby Gecko and Spyglass are both reasonable economy items, but in particular, the range actually matters. So we get a slight extra benefit of buying these items compared to a normal character. I'll take the Railgun here. I don't need Alien Tongue. We have a baby gecko, we have a loot worm, and we don't care about picking up consumables, so we don't need that. I will take a propeller hat, and then I will roll, lock another Railgun, and we'll lock glasses. Scope does give range, but losing attack speed is really bad for this character. Both for this character and in particular for this weapon. Now, elites are always going to be a challenge for the Railgun, and that is, of course, something that's pretty risky when you're playing the Wounded, because the Railgun will not have had time to build up base damage before you fight the elite. Need to clear these lampreys before they can charge, and that's why building range is so powerful on this character. Like, on a normal character, of course, if you took one hit from the lamprey, no big deal, you'd just heal it up. But on this character, you need to kill enemies like that before they can potentially hit you. I would love to get that Curse Alien kill. I did get a percent dodge there, but we still had our tardigrade. I'm going to recycle the riposte, and then we'll take the dodge. And then here I'm going to roll, and 20% attack speed is a phenomenal find. We'll go ahead and buy the Railgun. Claw Tree, I guess I'll take at this point. The crit chance is still pretty relevant. And then I will buy all of these items and then re-roll. Gummy Berserker, Bean Teacher, and Community Support. Community Support in particular is incredible for this character because any attack speed you can get matters so much, and the negative armor is completely irrelevant. So, great finds there. I wanted to let my loot worm go pick up those materials in the top left, but then a tree spawned, so it just ran off to do something else. Some slightly precise movement required there. And again, that sort of enemy getting slightly too close and requiring you to move a little more precisely is why I think that usually you're going to want to go with a mix of guns rather than Railgun. We just wouldn't have had an enemy get that close. But it's by no means a penalty you can't overcome. And we do end up with very high damage near the end of waves. Alright, we're super happy with Banner. These are all the stats we care about. I'll take a Clockwork Wasp. I do want a little more movement speed. And then here I'm going to take some percent damage. I could buy 3 dodge. I could buy 5 attack speed. I could take 30 range as well, though my range is actually okay at this point. You can see we're almost up to 500 range. I'd like to get to about 700 on our railguns to feel really safe. But I think I'm just going to take 3 dodge, because I do want more damage, and we do have a range item in the shop as well. Roll here, and we're not building ranged damage, so the Catling Gun will just never do anything. We'll roll again, we'll buy Gentle Alien and Bone Dice, and I'll roll. Pile of Books is a way to buy crit chance, but it's too expensive, so I'm going to roll past all of this. I'm really looking for more in the way of railgun levels. Haven't found those, but another Gummy Berserker is good, and although losing 5 speed is a real penalty, Ghost Outfit is incredible. Getting up to 70 dodge cap makes it much more reliable as an actual defensive stat. Still not, you don't want to rely on it, but it's much more likely for you to actually get the dodge. Also, of course, it gives you 10 dodge, which is very, very relevant for this character, and the negative armor, the normally bad penalty on the Ghost Outfit, doesn't exist for the Wounded. We're getting our level 15 level up here, so I probably just want to hard roll for dodge again. My base weapon damage is a little bit too low right now. And so we're having slightly slower clear speed than I would like. Although this weapon doesn't scale phenomenally with ranged damage, it still does. So if you get ranged damage for cheap, you'll still take it. And then I could also just take attack speed. I think I will just take the attack speed rather than hard rolling for dodge. These are the two stats we care about, so we'll just make sure we get one of them, and then, okay, nice, 9 dodge. Getting both of those at once is better than getting either individually, since they multiply each other. And then we'll buy some more dodge, we'll buy the Gummy Berserker, we'll roll, take a baby gecko, and I don't care about any of these items. Let's roll again. I will take a Gentle Alien and a Feather, and we'll lock the Cyclops Worm. Also going to reroll for 15. Perfect reroll. We got another Railgun, and Blindfold is great, giving us 2 stats we really want. Alright, this wave is going to be pretty challenging just because this weapon attacks slowly. It does have Pierce, which is very important for a Horde wave, but the slow attacks are going to be somewhat tough. I'm camping down near the bottom left corner. I don't want to move all the way into the bottom left corner right away because I want to have at least a little room to maneuver. But we will end up probably jammed into the bottom left corner because that way all the enemies will be coming from the same direction and our piercing shots will get maximum effectiveness. So we're going to end up all the way in the bottom left corner at the end of the wave, as you can see happening here. But it's important not to give up territory too early. Generally good advice in any strategic situation. Because then you just have less room to move around. I will definitely take small magazine. We care about range damage. We care a lot about attack speed. Peaceful Bee is great here. I'll take a fertilizer, and we'll take 12% damage. And I'm going to roll here. Do I take 30 range? I think I'm going to reroll and look for something a little better. And yeah, we're very happy to pick up 6 more dodge. Then I can get this blindfold. Now we're at our improved dodge cap. 70 dodge cap is great. We'll buy both railguns. So we're going to go ahead and level up our railguns here. Lost Duck. I would probably take it, but I think I'd rather just reroll 4 items and not worry about locking it, and then we will lock all of these things. One question I've seen a couple times recently is, why do I reroll when I have items locked? And I should say, if you're never doing that, you are hurting yourself a lot. You're going to find way fewer of the items that you're looking for. Because locking items makes them cheaper. So often you get back the money that you spent on a reroll when you lock an item, because items increase in price from wave to wave. So locking in the cheaper price is pretty important. And you just need to see more items overall. Making sure that you buy a critical mass of good items is very important to any run. Trying to never waste any money by re-rolling when you have a locked item is going to mean you see a lot fewer items over the course of the run and just buy worse items overall. I'll take a fish hook here. I'm going to buy the attack speed, and I think I'm going to roll for dodge here again. I could take crit chance as well. That would also be a pretty meaningful damage increase, but I think dodge or attack speed are still what we want. Dodge over cap still increases the damage of our railguns, so it's still what we're looking for. Buy all of these items. I'll take the Cursed Wandering Bot just because it's cursed. And Snail. I guess I will lock the Snail because we have a fish hook, so we want to lock stuff. I'll take a baby gecko. Cauldron, we will never pick up consumables from distance. We have to actually step on the consumable manually, which is a lot of extra effort. You'll still get the Cauldron bonus sometimes, but I have found Cauldron to be kind of awkward to use on the wounded just because you can't take damage and then pull in the consumable. So I think I'm just going to roll past both of these. I don't care about capping my move speed, and I do want more range, so I'm going to lock the shackles here. And we'll take a crown, because you can't be the king of Brotato without it. Something kind of funny about the Wounded is this is a challenge mode character on lower difficulties, and when you're like newer to the game, I think that the Wounded is really scary, really difficult to play. I think on Nightmare mode, this is like sort of in the middle of character difficulty. Getting extra economy stats and having no real penalty when you're not taking hits actually makes the character pretty reasonable. And just building it works well with the normal strategy on Nightmare mode, which is just to build guns and a bunch of damage. So I would put this, in terms of Nightmare mode character difficulty, somewhere around, like, probably in the top half of most difficult, but definitely not in the top quarter of most difficult characters. I'm going to roll here, and I will roll again. I could take the luck, but I really want just more damaging stats. And then we'll re-roll. Yep, 10% attack speed. Perfect. Okay, 100 range. So Fishhook did great here, cursing 2 items. I will take all this stuff, and I'll roll. Lock these 2, and re-roll. And because I have Fishhook, I'm going to roll again, and we'll lock another item. And you can see here, you know, we spent 11, but we got another good item. If we had rolled the blindfold next wave, it would cost 4 materials more. I don't know the exact number, but we get some of that 11 materials back, and we get a chance at Fishhook. So that's a good example of why it's good to roll when you have items locked pretty frequently. Cheap rerolls are an important resource. And even if you're not using them at their full potential, using them at all is very important. I did get a dodge there, so if I take a second hit this wave, then the dodge will have saved my life. Though I will say that the reason I needed the dodge was because our damage is low at the start of waves, which is why I think that Railgun is a little rough to use. Though obviously is working out fine. Yep, more range, more damage. The knockback is actually mostly a penalty for this character, because we want to focus down specific enemies, and pushing them away can make that more difficult. Very happy to get a cursed blindfold here. That's great. Alloy is garbage on this character. We'd be spending... It's technically damage positive, right? Because we get, what's that, 2.7 damage from range damage on our level 3, and then lose 40% of 6, which is 1.8. No, a little more than that, but anyways, it's I think very technically damage positive, but spending 200 for an extremely small damage increase, less than 1, is certainly not worth it. We'll roll here, we'll lock the banner. Big arms, is this something that I want the 6 range damage from? It's pretty expensive, but it is still a reasonable amount of damage. I guess it's worth locking when we have Fishhook, and then improved tools, of course, is more attack speed. And when you have Fishhook, it's just good to lock stuff. Very happy to have that extra 100 range. One run that I haven't tried yet on the Wounded that I do want to try is with Wand. I think that that's actually going to be a surprisingly solid run. Okay, I shouldn't have killed both of those blobfish at once. The downside of long range is that sometimes you don't have easy control over what you're attacking. And killing both of those blobfish at once was definitely a little more dangerous than it needed to be, because it meant that there were just a lot of lampreys on the field at once. the rest of this wave should be pretty straightforward, and our loot worm is just picking everything up, so that's great. 50 materials. I do want to just take Pocket Factory, get it out of the pool, but I think I just need the money here. It is sad that I've had to sort of bid farewell to taking Pocket Factory in every run, but it's really expensive and doesn't do anything, so even though I love that item, I don't think we can always take it. I'm going to take the dodge here. I still want more base damage, for especially the start of waves. Increasing the base damage of our weapons is really important, and making sure that we can actually kill the elites, even without the damage growth that the Railgun gets. We'll roll a couple times here, and roll some more. Do I want Hunting Trophy? I guess I'll lock it because it gives crit chance if it gets cursed. And even though we probably won't buy it if it doesn't get cursed, and we'll definitely take a Poisonous Tonic. I also... What light item did I get? We have increased sight radius in this darkness wave. I forget which light item I bought. But getting one light item is not... Oh, it was the lantern. Right. Getting a light item on the Wounded is actually kind of nice, especially on the Abyss, where being able to see when the mini-bosses are hatching can be pretty important. It's also pretty nice on Crash Zone because it gives you more vision of the summoners and everything, but on the Abyss, I think it's especially nice. It's not something that I would go wildly out of my way to spend money on, but it is, once you've locked in the rest of your build, it's okay. All right, we got a dodge there, but again, that was our first hit that wave. The eye surgery, I'm going to take this because 43 materials for 4 curse is fine. I'm going to recycle the campfire. I'm going to roll here and take 5 crit chance. And then the hunting trophy didn't get cursed, so I will pass on it. I'm going to roll here. We will definitely buy a railgun. The scar, we're going to hit level 25 without the scar, and we're not going to hit level 30 even if I buy it. So we'll pass on it this late. We'll buy a lure, and then... I have positive engineering, heavily positive engineering, so the nail's actually quite good here, and the cursed tentacle is nice as well, and then I'll roll and lock a lure. Rolling also in this run is especially good because we have a bone dice, so we get, it's cheaper because we get spy glasses and dangerous bunnies, and we get damage from bone dice. Another reason that you might see me roll when I have items locked. I do find it's helpful to go through some of these, like, questions that I get pretty frequently, sometimes, because often there's just something like that where people just haven't really thought about all of the context. And it can get really confusing why you might make specific decisions sometimes and not other times. The answer is almost always that there are contexts that make them good. Alloy for 50, it's basically just... +5 crit chance, so I guess I'll take it, because it's roughly damage neutral, so right now, 146 damage on our guns. If I take the alloy, we have 146 damage on our guns, so we're just getting 5 crit chance there, essentially, and I'm still well over dodge cap. I'll take the pearl, it's 2% damage, so it's fine, and then here, I'm going to take the dodge, I think. Just more base damage going into the elite wave. We'll buy Nail, which it should be fairly damage positive, so 158 goes up to 179 from the Nail. We'll take the Lure, and I'm also at 60% crit chance, so yeah, we'll buy the Insanity. I'm going to buy the Claw Tree as well. Getting to 100% crit chance would be fairly nice. We'll take the Anvil. It's going to end up just being the one weapon upgrade for 300, right? So that's, because we're just going to, we'll buy it before wave 19, and then essentially we're spending 350 to upgrade one railgun, which is very expensive, but I do think worth it, because upgrading railguns to kill the bosses faster is still pretty important. I'm also going to lock Gummy Berserker, and at this point in the run, I'm going to take the lens as well. I don't really care about lowering my move speed, so in fact, I'm going to lock Ugly Tooth, because what I'm really building towards at this point is, can I kill the bosses? So we took that hit, our dodge didn't help on this wave, but fortunately we still had a tardigrade. But now I need to be extremely careful not to take another hit in this wave, because we do have 70 dodge, but still die 30% of the time that I take damage. And when you're going for 100%, I think this is another reason that people really like overvalue dodge on this character. If you're trying to win every run, a 30% chance of just losing the run is like basically as bad as a 100% chance of losing the run. You just shouldn't be in a position where those things happen. I'm going to take the ashes here. This is an incredible find. We will take a free pearl. It's a tiny amount of damage, but you know, it's worth it. We will probably get the 14 materials back if I take the bag, because I'm going to find at least one crate next wave. Treasure map. If I get an item, it's worth more than 30 materials, so... and 30 materials probably isn't a fifth of an item, so I will take treasure map here, even just for the one wave, and we'll take the insanity as well. And then here, more base dodge. And then we're gonna buy... no fishhook procs, by the way. And we'll roll here. Really nice to find the coffee and the triangle of power, take our free reroll, and go to wave 19. Anvil, obviously an extremely expensive way to upgrade one railgun here, but I don't have any cursed weapons. My damage is a little low, because our railguns have ended up just not being tremendously damaging. I mean, they're still obviously really high, but not as high as you might be most comfortable with for the wounded, especially because we want to kill the bosses fast at the beginning of the wave. It is really nice that I've gotten a bunch of baby geckos, and so don't have to worry about picking up materials, really. Yeah, we'll definitely take the giant belt. It should speed up my kill. We can take the beanie here. Boiling water doesn't do anything. Gambling token increases our damage. And then there was 3 dodge there. I feel like I can do better. I'm going to take the percent damage. I think that matters a lot here. And then the crit chance, I think, might be more damage than the dodge, right? So 5% crit chance basically increases my base damage by 5%. And the dodge, 6 dodge, gives us slightly less damage than that. I will take all of these items and then roll. Leveled up Railgun is a great find, and I think I want it more than any of these things. Roll again. Baby with a Beard is a little damage now, but we're just going to keep rolling and re-roll. The level 1 Railgun, if I combine and buy the level 1 Railgun, it actually decreases my overall damage output a little. So we'll take the banner, of course. And then I would have loved to pick up Mutation or Adrenaline here, which we can't. Still going to roll out my money, though, because we have the Bone Dice, so rerolls are just good. Each reroll is half a damage. I would have loved to pick up this Tardigrade or the Jelly Shield or the Sunglasses before this last fight. The tardigrade would give me a lot of extra safety. Focusing on doing as much damage as possible from as long a range as possible to keep ourselves safe. And there we go. Alright, well that was the Wounded with Railgun. I definitely think that this is a completely viable way to play the character, obviously. I do think it was a little bit more challenging overall than just building guns normally. But it does give you some insurance in the form of being able to build dodge without sacrificing damage for it. So if you're really struggling with the gun build, then the Railgun build is, I think, a viable option. If you're struggling with the Railgun build, then don't feel like this is the weapon that you need to use to win with this character. We've got 300 materials from Coupon, almost 500 from the Loot Worm. Great job from the Loot Worm there. We ended up with really high crit chance, Gummy Berserkers, 300 materials from Spyglass. We had really good Bean Teacher and community support stuff, and our Fish Hook actually did very well in this run as well. The extra range and everything from the Shackles was nice. We got good harvesting from our Crown. And the Nail worked out very well with 28 Engineering and a Curse Nail giving us increased bonuses from Engineering, so that was really nice also. The Bag gave us 90 materials, though some of that was in the last wave, so but it still was positive. The Treasure Map was negative, because we didn't get lucky on rolling an item from the Treasure Map, but I think we got 3 crates on Wave 19, so both Bag and Treasure Map I think were reasonable pickups for the price that we spent on them. The Anvil, of course, upgraded one of our weapons. Giant Belt, 16k damage, which was basically like having one extra weapon, which is, of course, great. Triangle of Power, excellent on this character. And there we go. So, really nice run, I would say. Very smooth. And now, when I choose a character from a random map, we get to see the full wall of gold, at least, so no longer is there a weird hole. So, mission accomplished. Alright, my friends, hope you enjoyed that run, and of course, if you have, then feel free to leave a comment and hit like. Helps me out with the algorithm, so I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And of course, you can subscribe to my channel for more Brotato and other strategy game analysis. Cheers, folks. I'll catch you next time.